Hello there, Lothar here. This is the third video in discussing the big three items for through hiking. This one is going to focus on backpacks, and there are a huge amount of choice out there. So I'm going to talk through my approaches and the variables that are important to me, and I hope some of the discussion is helpful to you. I would encourage you to definitely check out the HalfwayAnywhere hiker surveys. They have the full list of all the most popular backpacks that are used on trail, and obviously try and listen to different views and different opinions, and as I said before, take what resonates with you, and if some of the suggestions are helpful to you, that's great. So let's kick off. Like before, I've got some notes here, so if I'm looking up to my left, that's probably because I'm just referring to my notes. So the first thing is to think about the size of the pack. How big do you want it? Now that's kind of decided prior to basically what other gear you've chosen. This is part of the reason why I think of the backpack is probably the priority, the item that's behind, after I bought my tent, after I bought my shelter sleep system, after I've thought out the basic gear. Then I'm thinking, right, what pack would I need for that kind of gear? Now there are two approaches. There's the ultralight, and there's obviously they're going big. The big packs that can take upwards of maybe 30-40 pounds, and the bear can and things like that. Now you might see some hikers hiking with something like this. Certainly in the early stages. Now this is only a 40 litre. This is a Z-Pax Nemo. It is very lightweight. It's very minimalist. Has very little padding. But it's great for just if you want to move fast and and you can do lightweight stuff. You maybe do cowboy camping a lot, and you're not carrying anything like a bear can. So this is something that is just a very basic lightweight backpack. The other at the other level, you then have the big packs that will satisfy you through the Sierra. Now this is a big pack. This is a 65 litre. Now this has all the features whereby I can carry a bear can. It's got side pockets. It's got better padding. It's more comfortable, designed to carry a lot more weight, but obviously it is heavier itself. So what do you do? What do you go for? This is where I'm going to talk about some of the factors, and let's see what resonates with you. Now you can go ultralight and pay an awful lot of money. So these are the Z-Packs and the Hyperlights. Now they can go anywhere from 40 litres up to 65 litres, I think, if not beyond. And they are very, very good. They have very strong material. They're designed for through hiking, but they are expensive, particularly if you're going to add on all the accessories that you might want to think about. So the basic packs could probably come in at about maybe 300, 350, or even up to 400, and then you're adding accessories like side pockets. You might add extra padding. You might add ice axe loops and things like that. Some packs come with those features, but some of the ultralight stuff these are add-ons. So what can be a sort of high price could become a very high pricing backpack if you're going to add lots and lots of features and accessories. So be careful of that. There's a lot of mid-range packs that I think, like the ULA, you've got the Gossamer Gears, you've got the there's lots of cottage brands like Atom packs and things like that. Again, check out the list on the HalfwayAnywhere surveys to see some of the brand names. They will come in at slightly middle of the range, so they might be maybe $200, $250, maybe up to $300, but a lot of the features may be already in there. And you can also go completely the other way, where you go for the big packs with lots of padding already fitted in, like the Ospreys, or this pack here is actually, dare I say, it's actually just a big 5. This cost me $109. I used this in the Sierra this year. This is not an ultralight pack, but it certainly serves its purpose. I commonly have used in the past Z-Packs, our calls. I've been very happy with them, but they are expensive, but they do the job. It's really a question of budget is probably the biggest thing that's going to affect your decision on the backpacks. And if you want lots of features like little straps and things like that, maybe you go for the heavier packs like the Ospreys or the maybe the ULAs or the Atom packs, where some of the features are already incorporated in the pack. Now we'll talk about those in a bit more detail. So the other thing to think about is when it comes to the volume of the pack, as I think the average on the trail this year was probably 55 litres. Again, that's taking into account bear can and the capacity to basically do a sufficient carry through the Sierra, or a large part of the Sierra, so you don't have to resupply so often. They can come in at 60, 65 litres, but whatever pack you go for, I definitely go for one which has a roll top, so that if it's a large pack like a 55 or a 60 or even a 65, make sure that you have a roll top so that you can squish it down, such that when you're going through the desert, when you're probably only using maybe 40 litres or 45 litres, then you're just using a single pack, but you can roll it down and scrunch it down when you need to. The other things are, check out the weight limits of the pack you choose. Again, if you're going through the Sierra, you probably want a weight limit of 30-35 pounds at least, maybe even up to 40. Now, the reason I mention that is there are certain packs that have certain designs, and when they say a weight limit, in their case they probably mean it, and that's my personal experience with Hyperlite mounting gear packs. They are very, very good. They're expensive, but they're very good. But they have a specific design where on their shoulder straps, they have sometimes, I've seen hikers with failed shoulder straps, which is quite fundamental, on Hyperlites. But to be fair, I'm pretty certain the people have gone over the weight limits of the pack they've chosen, and they damaged the pack. I think if Hyperlite and other packs say a weight limit, take that seriously. They're not designed maybe to take super heavy weights, but they're good for sufficient and the average through hiker. But check the weight limits of the packs you choose. Also, if you're going to make sure that the bear can that you're going to use in the Sierra can actually fit in the main body of the pack, or are you quite happy to have it all sitting on the top, basically behind your head? And again, as I said before, you probably have your quilt in there or something light if you have it behind your head on the top of the pack. And then when you stop, you put the food in the bear can. But you've got to decide, do you want the bear can inside your main pack or on top? I personally have the bear can inside my pack, so I have a pack of sufficient volume that I could put in a BV500 or a Bearcat Blazer or a bear can of similar volume inside the main body of the pack. So that's, again, a personal choice. The other things you want to think about are the fabric. What kind of material you want to use. Do you want it fully waterproof, or I think what you'll find is most packs have sort of some maybe basic water repellency. They'll have sealed seams, so the seams won't leak if it rained on, but they're never 100% waterproof. So if you're quite happy to take the approach that you'll buy a general pack which has some water repellency, you may want to then have either a pack cover. I personally have never used a pack cover, but you can. Some packs actually come with a free pack cover, or you can buy them as accessories. You may want to take the approach of having a trash liner inside your pack to do all your full waterproofing or added waterproofing, and then put all your gear inside. I personally use Modular Systems, so I use basically packs like this where I rely on the relative water sort of repellency of the backpack itself. Make sure it's seam sealed, and then most of the good packs are anyway. And maybe use some of these modular system pouches that you can buy, and I put different gear such that I colour code them, such that if I know my food bag is this is my food bag, or one of them, I can and it's very loose and it can compress and expand, and I shove that in my backpack. And I've got lots of little ditty bags like this, which have, again, waterproofness themselves, because these are seam sealed. These are just ditty bags. So you can basically take your approach for waterproofing in multiple ways. But the one item I would say be very careful of is your sleep system and your dry clothes. I put those in a fully waterproof compression sacks. Whether I use a trash bag in the main pack or not, I still separately will always have my quilt and my clothes in a fully waterproof actually compression bag as well. So. Okay, so when you're deciding the pack, you're obviously going to decide your comfort levels. What features do you want on the pack? Now, as I said, a lot of these smaller packs have very limited padding. What you'll find is, say, with the Hyperlites and with, certainly with Z-packs, you can get additional padding added. You can get additional padding added as accessories on the weight belt, on the waist belts. If you're going to go for something like a ULA circuit or maybe an Osprey or something, they normally have fairly good padding on the hip belts anyway, and on shoulder straps, because it always comes as already is a feature of the pack. Some packs have lots and lots of different types of straps or that you can adjust. So this pack here, a lot of packs have what are called not only the shoulder straps, but also straps here which actually allow you to adjust. They're called load lifters, that allow you to adjust the position of the load on your back as you're hiking. I like packs that have shoulder straps with the load lifters. Now, not all the ultralight packs do. Z packs, the ones I have, this one here, the low 40 litre volume, doesn't have any load lifters, but the Arc Hall brands and the Arc Blast, they do have load lifters. I don't think the Hyperlights do. I definitely prefer packs that I can adjust as I'm hiking, depending on as the load changes, that I can adjust it accordingly on my back, and not all the weight is on the main, just solely on the main strap, which is you'll find on certain packs, but that's a personal choice. You may want to have lots of basically straps, additional straps, or that you may have had as accessories, maybe like the chest strap. This is simply to keep the pack. I normally have this loose fitting. You may have a strap that goes on the top of your pack, which is designed to hold a bear can on the top. It's basically a V that sort of goes over the top of the bear can. That can be as a feature of the pack, or it may be an accessory. It may have ice hacks loops. Now these are just basically some packs. I'm not sure it's on this one. You may have to, you may want a loop here. Basically, it's a loop that you can have the ice axe. The ice axe is on the back of your pack, but again, that might be a feature of the backpack. But a lot of the ultralights, it's an add-on accessory and an add-on cost if you want ice axe loops. Some charge you also for loops that will hold your trekking poles, and all the additional side pockets. Now, it just so happens that, for an example, these are side pockets that you might find that typically would be on a Z-Packs pack that you can, but they're accessories, they're add-ons. Now these are shoulder pockets. I've got also mesh side pockets. You can also have belt pockets that you can just add on, and they cost a notable amount, but they are very good, because what you can do is you can take them off and put them on different packs. So these Z-Packs pouches are actually put on a Big 5, probably massive pack that cost me $109, but I've added mesh pockets, which these are interchangeable, so I can interchange them from this pack. I can put them on to this pack and add lots of side pockets here, because most packs have lots of little loops and things that you can make add side pockets to. So if you do go for one of the big brand ultralight packs with all the accessories, when you finish with the pack may be, worn out at the end of the hike, but remember to take the pockets off, because you can interchange them and they're reusable. They very rarely wear out. So again, this is where you can either buy a pack that has lots of features within the price you're paying for it, or if you're going for the ultralight ones, you normally find all these lovely little features. They actually add on and they can really add up. So again, that may be a decision point for which brand you go for. Right. Other things I've said is other pockets or other things. A lot of people, and I'm in particular as well, love having a fanny pack, or a bum bag we call them in England. Now these can be an ultralight version, which is basically BCF material, and you wear it around your tummy, and you might have your permits in there, you might have snacks in there, things you want access to during the day. Or you can go for something like an REI. This is a big fanny pack. I actually used that this year. Lots of space, and it just adds to. I just basically love having lots of things accessible, because I'm one of these hikers that if I put my backpack on, it stays on there for a good couple of hours. I don't like taking it on and off all the time. Once I'm hiking and it's bedded in, I want to be able to reach for my snacks. I want to reach around and get my water bottle. I want to be able to have a side pocket here, my InReach, that maybe has a shoulder pocket here, so I can get at it whilst I'm hiking. So there's lots of features that depend on your style of hiking. I do know a lot of hikers who don't like all these side pockets. They think they basically look like Christmas trees. They'd much rather have the sleek main pack, and then when they need something, they stop, take the pack off, and go into the main body of the compartment and take things out that way. That's a preferred approach, and I fully understand there are different preferences like that. Okay, so also when it comes to packs on trail, you will have failures. Now, whether it's because you've overloaded it and you've broken something, you might have slight tears in the fabric. So I always carry a repair kit which includes either seam seal tape or tenacious tape. Now the tenacious tape is really good for backpacks because it's hard wearing. So if you've got a sort of a wear point on a backpack, then tenacious tape is usually very good for that. Now you can have strap breakages. Now some packs, and this is particularly sitting on the Z-Packs ones, I commonly have had failures not on the main strap here. This is the main shoulder which is taking the weight, but sometimes there's a wear point between the hip belt and where the shoulder strap comes down. Now if it wears out and breaks, you can actually easily just tie a knot in it and it actually recovers. It's lots of repairs on backpacks. In general, you can normally address them on trail. The one you can't address is when the main shoulder strap fails. As I said on the Hyperlights, be careful on the weight limits. But Z-Packs ones have histories of failures. They all do. You'll have wear points there, but you just have to be prepared for the fact that you're going to have some failures. And my starting point normally is tenacious tape and seam seal tape for the basics. And maybe have a couple of spare, basically a spare padding, or basically I have a spare sit pad here, which I actually have in a bounce box. It goes up the trail. So if I'm using one of my ultralight packs, if I find the padding's wearing out, I might just have a spare sit pad that I can just shove behind my back to give me a bit more comfort. The other thing is when it comes to the purchase, what if you to ask me today what packs would I definitely support? ULA Circuit was the first pack I ever used. I loved it, absolutely loved it. ULA perfect choice, and it's certainly on the list from the Halfway Anywhere survey. Z-Packs Arc Halls, and I think similar to the Arc Blast, use those, very good. Had a couple of failures, but manageable. I've had an Osprey. I find them probably a bit too big for the desert, but overall they're good packs. I've had this one, which is a Big 5 from $109. This actually is heavy, but it served me well. And then you've also got the cottage brands like the Atoms, the Gossamer Gears, which are all very good because a lot of them have some of the features already in the price. There is a lot of choice out there. There is no right or wrong with backpacks. You've just got to find one that ultimately has all the features, but also it fits you well. Now, when it comes to fitting, if you get a chance to go into a store, I obviously would advise it. But a lot of these brands that like the Hyperlights, the Z-Packs, and all the cottage brands, you don't normally have to look through a sizing guide online, and you order a size, and they'll send it to you. Now, I've not heard of people. So if you have find it doesn't fit and you send it back, I've not heard of people having problems with companies saying, okay, we'll take it back. Only if you've obviously used it or worn it will they complain about or refuse to take something back. They want their packs to work on their hikers, and they want good reviews. So it's in their interest to be helpful. So if you look at the sizing guide, another thing is if you're new to using these packs, there's a debate about how much weight or tension you put on the hip belt and how much you balance it on the shoulder strap. I am one of these hikers that actually I like a very strong hip belt. I like lots of comfort, and I have a sizable amount of weight on the hip belt such that I can actually just have the shoulder straps loose, and the most of the weight is on my hips. And then I draw the pack down and it gets closer, and then I adjust the load lifters and gradually transfer some of the load onto my shoulders. That is why I like packs that have very strong, very good, comfortable hip belts and load lifters. That is again a personal choice, but a lot of the ultralight ones some of those features you may have to pay extra for. So this year I used a 40-litre Nemo for the desert, and then when I got to Tehachapi I switched to, it just so happened I was going to switch to a Z-Packs Arc Hall, which was under repair, but I didn't get it repaired in time, so I actually ended up going into a Big 5 store and spending $109 on a 65-litre massive pack. This is a Delta. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this as the first choice, but it actually worked well, and using this I did a sub 100 on the PCT. So again, the additional weight, I think the comfort is what I really benefited here. And I transferred all the side pockets from my Nemo onto this pack, so I had all the features. Because once I kind of get into a hiking mode, I want to know that my inReach is there. I want to know the water is there or there. I want to know my snacks are there. So wherever pocket setup I have, I maintain it throughout the hike. And it's also, when I pack things, I pack it the same way, and when I'm at camp, I unload and then pack up exactly the same way. So I put in things in the same order each time, and it's also kind of a mentality such when you're packing up at a campsite, you also go through a routine that then means that you're less likely to forget things like tent pegs or trekking poles and things like that, which can happen early on. So get yourself into a routine of packing the same way. And I always, as I said, use color-coded bags, packed in the same place as much as possible, and the side pockets as much as possible, so I know exactly where everything is every time. The final thing is that I have been very, very fortunate not to have too many failures on my packs. I have seen people who have been very unlucky. They've had shoulder straps fail. They've basically had complete failures. And it then comes to the point where how supportive some of the companies are, or how responsive they are when it comes to a failure and you are on trail and you ring them up or you contact them through email, how responsive they are. Now, you're going to hear differing views on how good the customer support is for different brands. I personally have found Z-Packs to be reasonably good. Not had too many issues when I've asked for something. They've normally anticipated my need, and they've been very responsive, generally very responsive. They are the idea that people might send you a complete replacement pack without charge I think is a bit of a big ask or expectation, because if you're using a pack and you've used it for a certain period, okay, it may fail, and if you're not happy with it, they will normally do their best to basically get you a replacement or repair, get you back on trail. But what they may not necessarily say, well, we'll send you a brand new one. I mean, that's something you've got to be prepared for. I think most of the cottage companies probably have a harder time responding with all the new stuff, because obviously they have smaller budgets and smaller inventories. But again, I've not heard of any particular brand that where everyone says, oh, it's terrible. I think again, you can't go too far wrong with most of the top 5 or 6 brands you'll see on that HalfwayAnywhere survey. I think the biggest decisions you've got to make is make sure get the sizing, do you want the load lifters or not, and what accessories you personally want, and if you can stump up the money for Z-Packs or Hyperlite with the accessories, that would be my first choice. And as I've said, my second choice probably would be a ULA, because I had good experiences with that. I know people have had good experiences with the Gossamer gears and the Atom packs. I personally, I think you probably guessed, I'm not a fan of the Hyperlights, but you look at the surveys, they're very popular, and I think maybe I've been tainted by the fact, because I've seen failures on trail, that maybe it's just bad timing. But anyway, I hope these discussions are helpful to you, and I will move on to other gear for the specifics around all the things that go in this pack, and also some of the electronics and some of the tools that I will use, like the apps and things that I found useful when through hiking. Okay, speak to you soon.